Okay, so slavery, obviously it's something that we know from various times in history and everywhere from Rome to America and various types, and it still goes on today under different names like child labor and whatnot. But the first place where it stops is when you stop being a slave internally. As Catholics, as Christians, one of the things we realize is that when we completely submit ourselves to God, then we are completely free. And when we are completely free and completely ourselves, we're no longer slaves to things like consumerism. Basically the things in the world that take your attention away from the good things and make you slaves to other things. One thing I'd like to add just before I finish as well is, in our current conversations with all the stuff you see on Facebook, all the things you see in the news, it's really easy to hate injustice. But we forget that we should love justice. And there's a very big difference. If you read about slavery or child labor and all those awful things, you get really angry, you get really upset, and you kind of get this sense of despair. Instead, you should be loving the fact that you can actually help create justice. Because if you just hate the injustice, inside you'll just have hate. But if you love the justice, then that will heal you and the others.
In your opinion, what are some ways that we can prevent slavery around the world?
We can get the word out there a bit more, let kids know that they got a choice in those developing places, and just do our part to put a stop to it.
What are the ways that we can prevent slavery?
I think the public awareness does have to grow. The people here in Western countries of the world, we don't have much slavery existing, and we need to realize what's going on over in the southeastern countries in the world. I think the government needs to come up with some anti-slavery laws. We need to be spending money to reduce that. But I think we as individuals, we can learn, join, and act. We can learn to know what's going on about slavery. We can join organizations. I know there's Free the Slaves organization. And then we can act. We could just use our own imagination to try and end slavery.
What types of abuse do you think slaves had to endure?
Probably some physical abuse like beating and whipping so that they are forced to work harder, and probably verbal abuse as well.
Part of the reason why we still have issues with just a lack of compassion and empathy for people in different situations, especially in modern day slavery and things like that, is that we live in a world that, whether or not we want to believe it, is very egocentric. So you look at the media and you look at commercials and it's like, you know what, like, you're special, you do you, but like at the end of the day, the whole attitude is causing us to turn in on ourselves and be like, well, it's all about my life, it's all about me. And so when we take that, we're so focused on ourselves, we're so focused on, looking beautiful or, being the best or whatever, it limits us in how we're supposed to go out and help others. So that's the first thing. And the second thing too is that with all this, because we're so focused on ourselves, we begin to strip away the value of human dignity. And that happens in a lot of different ways, especially in the media. Things where we're objectifying not just women, but men and women. We see that in the porn industry all the time. Women who go into the porn industry thinking like it's a very glamorous lifestyle, or it's something that like it's a very like multi-billion-dollar industry. Because so many people feed into it, because so many people are addicted to porn. But what we're doing is we're taking away the value of the entirety of the human person, both the women and the men who are involved. And we say, no, like you're limited to what you're doing physically. And we remove part of their humanity from that. So things like pornography and things that strip away all the different facets of the human person put us in a mentality, whether or not we want to admit it, of of not being able to recognize the value and dignity of all people. And so and that leads to maybe not the slavery we hear about in textbooks with bringing people in chains on boats to serve us, but they are serving us in metaphorical chains. And so we have to look at that and eliminate those things, and that means suffering on our part. I think some people have addictions, or people have comforts that are very normal in their lives, but we have to go beyond saying, okay, like what suits me, that egocentric mentality, what's good for me, what's pleasurable for me, and say what benefits the rest of the world, benefits all of humanity. So taking a step back and recognizing that it's not all about us, and how we have to make sacrifices in some small and some big ways in order to really view every single person with dignity and respect.